Oh, the timing. Does it match?
Oh, for the rest of the session. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, we're good. All right, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Southeast Conversations podcast. We have another episode here with us. It's our first episode since the whole little debacle.
Yeah, little shebang.
Yeah. And we have a few guests with us in here today. But first of all, welcome back to Dumebi. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
How was your birthday?
It was really good. Enjoyed my time in Amsterdam. You know what? I like celebrated for the whole week. So it started last weekend all the way to this weekend. You know what I mean? It's not nothing short of celebration, but yeah, it was
It's been a
fun.
whole month. You've been celebrating a whole
Yeah.
month.
You know what? I would.
Fair,
There's
okay.
always something to do.
Sorry, when exactly was your birthday?
2nd of November. So that was last week, Saturday.
29th October.
Okay. Not far off then.
Hmm?
You're Scorpio, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm one of the good ones, though. So.
Since we're talking birthdays, Andrew, when's your birthday?
28th September.
28th September. What sign is that?
I'll be honest, I don't keep up with it. So,
I
you'd
know.
have to tell me.
Fair. Well, as they've been introduced, you can see we've got Josh in the building,
So,
and we also have Andrew in the building. With all that being said, I'm going to hand over to Dumebi to take over the show.
Well, I'm glad to have you guys here. This is actually going to be like a good conversation. I feel like there's a lot that we're going to talk about. So yeah, just like a quick introduction before we go into it. You guys should check us out on our Instagram. Follow us on Southeast Conversations. Same as YouTube, same as TikTok. I think Twitter's still in the works.
We're still in the works.
Still in the works.
Do you know what? I find the only reason I haven't set it up because I was so confused. I went on Twitter and I went to make a post, and I realized you had to sign up and start paying monthly for Twitter.
Sorry.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said.
Elon, man, what are you doing? What are you doing, man?
Honestly, Elon, I was liking Elon until I realized I was like, Elon, man, you need to allow us a little
So wait,
bit.
as a business page.
Yeah. If I wanted to create as a podcast page, I would
Yeah.
have to start paying monthly to you and stuff like that. And I was like,
way.
no, I'm not doing that, man. The internet is free. What are we doing here? Do you know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah,
No, but
Instagram's free and what? I didn't even know that.
It's
That's
free
crazy.
for now.
For now.
For now.
For now, yeah, fair enough. So I think we have a topic that we're going to talk about. But before we go into that, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell me what you do. So I'll give it to Andrew to start first.
Cool. So I'm a secondary school science teacher. I work in Bromley. I've been teaching now for a year. This is my second year of teaching. Yeah, I do enjoy my job. It's a lot of work, but hopefully in a couple years' time, I can look at the students who I've taught, and then, yeah, it's a job where I feel like I have a sense of purpose. But yeah, besides teaching, I have some other interests. I like sports. So during school holidays, I'm in the process of kind of setting up a business where I run sports camp for primary school age kids. And yeah, other than that, I like gym.
Okay.
I would never have guessed that you were a teacher.
I mean, look at his
Yeah.
outfit. He came serious.
Yeah.
Not that I would have known your occupation
Yeah.
anyway, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense considering the topic that we're discussing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, Andrew's gunning for the headmaster's job at the moment. Yeah. Josh, yourself?
Yeah, so I work as a teaching assistant. I'm not a teacher. I have to keep explaining this to people when I work at school. So you're a teacher. It's no, I'm not a teacher. The workload that we have and the workload that teachers have is very, very different. It's just nowhere near as full on, but it can be quite challenging. But yeah, I work as a teaching assistant at a primary school somewhere in Woolwich. I've been doing that this is the first academic year I've done. So I'm on my second academic year.
So when
This
you
year.
say second academic year, what's in years? How long is that?
So my first academic year started last year in September and then
Okay.
ended in July,
Oh, okay.
and now I'm on my second year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So what's that? I want to understand what's the difference then, because you mentioned like there's a big difference between like a teaching assistant and actual teacher. Like, what's actually the difference?
So the main one I would say is workload. TAs, we clock in, we turn up, and then we leave at like 3:15. So my usual working hours are 8:45 till 3:15 p.m. And then I just skedaddle, whatever.
Yeah.
But the teachers themselves, they will stay working in school up until 4:30 or 5, and even then they'll still take work back with them home. Because the thing about teaching that a lot of people don't realize, especially like kids, is that we don't just turn up to school and everything's there like ready for us. Like there's actually like a whole like process going on behind the scenes that people don't see, which is why a lot of teachers are actually experiencing things like burnout and stress, because it's just such an around the clock kind of job that it just takes over your life, really. I mean, I don't know, what's your experience been like?
Because I could hear you laughing. I was like, he's thinking,
Preach.
Yeah, he's told the whole story, and I'll be honest. For me personally, I said I'm giving myself, so the form group I have now, like in the morning that I take register in the afternoon, I started with them in year 7 last year. I think when they get to year 11, I'm done. Like I've got 3 more years. Yeah, at this school anyway. I think it varies from school to school. Certain schools with better management are good at managing the workload, even though it's still there. And for me personally, as a science teacher, there's not enough of us. So the reason there's more workload is because you're doing 2 jobs sometimes, covering lessons, and it's when you first get into teaching, or something they'll say to encourage you is that it's rewarding. It's not financial that they're talking about. It's
So
it
what's the
gives you
reward?
like some. I guess everyone at some point you're gonna look for some sort of purpose. Whether doesn't matter if it's career or hobby, and some people. I found that in teaching, it's just now managing all the extra stuff, the extra workload, where, like you said, you take it home and it's not something that students see, or even sometimes more senior teachers, even though it's weird, they've been there, but sometimes they're a bit not understanding, and you don't get rewarded for that. It's not seen, but you have to do it if you want to be a good teacher anyway.
So where would you say that what would you say inspired you to do that, and where did that sense of purpose come from for the both of you?
All right, cool. So, honestly, I didn't. If you had said to me that I was going to be working as a TA last year, I would have looked at you and laughed and just gone the other way, because I never ever saw myself working in the education sector, let alone with kids. My ambition was to work in book publishing, magazine publishing, one of the two. It didn't matter, because I studied literature at university, but after years of just knocking on the door and only having a few paid and unpaid internships to show for it, I just kind of got sick of it. I was like, okay, let's expand our horizons and look elsewhere for something that's going to like play on my skill set. And one of the jobs that I found was a literacy assistant job. I think it was a little bit late for that one, but the agency that advertised that job, they referred me on to a couple of other vacancies that I interviewed for, and I got one of them, and I've been here ever since. So to summarize, like my life has sort of deviated. It's taken a different path, and I'm now finding that I actually enjoy this a lot more than I thought I would.
Do you feel like it's the same for you, Andrew? Like, did it fall in your lap somewhere, or did you actually go for it?
I relate to, if someone told me, I wouldn't be against the idea of teaching, but it wouldn't be the first thing I'd think of. So originally I went to uni for my undergrad. I studied sports therapy and rehab because I liked learning about the body, anatomy, physiology. In particular, once someone gets injured, the process of rehabbing, of learning how the body kind of returns itself to a good physical state. It was in the third year of the course where we had to do placement, and what I initially thought the career or working in that career, what I thought it'd be like, it wasn't what it actually was. And I spoke to one of the uni lecturers, and he told me, or he saw something in me. He said, "You're really good at explaining things." And reason I assume he made that inference is because in the third year we had to present our thesis, so our third year dissertation, as a poster. And he said I was really good at presenting ideas, etc. He said you should have a think about doing a year in uni just teaching. And then since I'd done sports therapy, I thought, let me go into science biology. And yeah, that's how I got there. And training, so before I actually got a job, like training to teach was really fun. Like interacting with the kids, I think it's the most fun part of the job, especially being close to not close, but close enough to understand sometimes their experiences. It can be fun. But
Yeah, you know, you're saying like the fun part is the kids. I've got little brothers. They're not fun. I'm not gonna lie. They're not really that fun. But fair enough. Good on you. Hats off to you guys. You're doing a lot for the community. I can't lie. That's why I wanted you guys to be on the pod and have a discussion about the kids side of things. So since you've mentioned it, I think it's a perfect segue into that. The main thing we've noticed a lot of people come out nowadays and say social media is ruining the kids, social media is doing this, TikTok that, and this and that. So as people in the forefront of things, well, when it comes to this, sorry, or close enough to the forefront of things when it comes to it, what are your thoughts on it, and how do you think? Are you seeing the effects of TikTok on these kids' lives, or is it?
I have quite a bit to say on this because, as you said, not just teachers but also TAs, we're like on the forefront of all of this. When the teachers are having their lunch break, we're out in the playgrounds and we're supervising and obviously making sure that things run smoothly, or as smoothly as they can be, considering, well, kids in playgrounds and stuff. But the landscape, I think, has definitely changed significantly from when we went to school as kids. We didn't have, well, we had mobile phones back then, but that was before we opened Pandora's box, which was the internet. And that became so much more accessible, and we started getting kids into that stuff very, very early on. And because of that, we have now exposed them to a world that's just full of simulation and full of things that, to be honest, kids shouldn't really be seeing. So, I mean, TikTok, like we all know about it. For me, it's just brain rot central, and it's kind of problematic when we have to intervene and deal with incidents which are a lot of the times a result from some of the things that they've seen on social media. And when it gets to that point, obviously we're at the very end of it, but it doesn't. We can't get to the bottom of it because ultimately children as young as 2 or 3 years old are growing up with a screen right in front of their face. And so they're becoming more adept and more confident at using technology and soaking all of this stuff in like a sponge. And there's nothing we can do to stop that. So we just have to deal with it as it comes, you know?
I mean, I've heard the reasons as to why, like, most parents, like, let their kids stay on the screen because of how much work they have to, they can't concentrate on them 24/7 because they need something that they can concentrate on so they can do their own thing, which I hear, but, like, we didn't grow up with that. So how are our parents doing it? That's what I want to know. So, like, there's so many things that's, like, different from how things were in the past than it is now. Would you say it's the same for you with secondary school students, or?
Definitely. But for me, because I use TikTok.
I mean, I use TikTok as well. So.
I think it's a double-edged sword where I think not just TikTok, I think the impact of the pandemic where kids were at home for that long not interacting with other kids, not going outside.
Definitely didn't help.
It definitely didn't help. And the key thing I'd say I see in students is just the attention span. There's a whole set of research now on a term called cognitive load, which basically means when I'm teaching, I have to really minimize the content that I'm teaching, or have to really break it down, or within a few seconds, they're going to lose it. And it's different pre-COVID. Even when I went to school, I know teachers would put literally Wikipedia chunk of text. I just get it down. I wouldn't even think, if I tried that now, kids would disengage. And yeah, there's a lot of lessons where I teach maybe literally just one sentence for the whole lesson. Or one really, really small part of the topic, because of the fact on TikTok, if the video is 1 minute long, they scroll past. It's the same kind of mindset they bring to the lessons.
I mean, I guess like you're saying, that has shaped your teaching in that sense, because that was going to be one of the next things we get onto, where I was going to ask, how has that shaped the way you're approaching your teaching? So I guess that's something that it has affected in that sense, having to chop it down to make it almost consumable. But we already had bite-size growing up. It was already in bite-sized chunks for us.
Core
growing up,
memory
so.
unlocked right there.
Yeah. So how is it even chopped smaller, and how is it more difficult? Do you find it more difficult to do it that way, or do you actually think it's helping them consume the knowledge better that way?
I think it's definitely helping. And the fact of the matter is, like Josh mentioned, it's something we just have to deal with. We can't go back. And I think it is helpful, but where I kind of say it's a double-edged sword is that on the flip side, you can find some good resources on TikTok, if that makes sense. Like you can you can use it in a beneficial way. It's just in the lesson, it's difficult to make. It's difficult. You're always competing with something that they've seen on TikTok.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Does your class have iPads? Or does the school use iPads for things like interactive learning and certain lessons?
Wait, that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing in my school.
Yeah.
In our primary school,
Wow.
we in every classroom, I say each and every classroom, almost every single classroom, there's a designated iPad storage unit on the walls. And they have about 15 iPads a unit, so a lot of the times we have to borrow iPads from certain classrooms to make up for it. Anyway, that's a thing that we do quite often. So when it comes to doing assessments in bulk, or when there's things like interactive maths lessons on Friday, we will actually use the iPads on standby to make those lessons run.
My little brother's school gave him an iPad, he can take it home.
No way.
I kid you not. And when I went home and I saw, I was like, Dad, put you on iPad, because Dad would never buy me shoes. And he was like, no, my school gave it to me. I said, you what?
Yeah.
You
I was like, excuse you? Like our laptops that were heavy as what God knows what. We couldn't even take them home.
Get laptops. It was like computers, and we only log into them when we have certain things we needed to do.
Yeah.
Some of my essays were on paper.
No, it's
No, for
You
real,
only
for
use
real.
it for research, and you write
Yeah.
down what you need to
Honestly.
write down.
It
or
feels
if
like
you
the
need to
Stone
type it up.
Ages at this point.
Yeah, that's what it feels
it's scary.
like. That's crazy. I didn't know about the iPad thing.
It's a completely different world now, and I think that schools are, starting to come to terms and embrace that reality, because
Yeah.
screens, as you've said, they're not going anyway. If
Yeah.
anything, the integration between human and technology and machines
Yeah.
is only going to
It's getting worse.
yeah. So they're like, okay, right. So how can we get the kids engaged in a way that they're still able to do things, because they're very technologically savvy, but when it comes to writing and stuff, so. Personal soul.
Damn. All right. So just quickly, I mean, again, we have kind of gone into it. In terms of, we know there's a lot of negative impacts. What are some of the other? You've mentioned, like I said, Andrew, you have mentioned a few. But what other positive sides can we see? And would we say it outweighs the negative impacts, or do you think it's a 50-50 or negative takes over?
It's definitely more negative, I'll be honest. but it has a potential to be very, very beneficial at the same time. And like Josh has mentioned, like use of technology is one way where schools can take advantage of that. So students can actually see, it's not just for TikTok, or it's not just for games. There can be a balance. I think where it could be beneficial is, sorry, repeat the question again.
No, I was asking whether do you think the negatives outweigh the positives, or do the positives outweigh the negatives? And you said
Yeah,
the negatives
definitely
outweighs.
negatives outweigh the positive, because like Josh mentioned earlier, there's certain situations that would have never happened when I went to school, simply literally because someone saw a TikTok video, they saw someone say this.
Oh, they're bringing it
Yeah.
to school.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, no.
They won't mention it. They won't say, oh, this is, but you can just see there's only one place. Sometimes you see this behavior. There's
Yeah.
only one place you've got this idea from. And
Okay.
yeah, it's more negative than good.
Sorry,
yeah,
can I
go
ask a
on.
quick question before I forget? So you mentioned the iPad thing.
Mhm.
Are they allowed like to use? Is it so? I don't know. Is like certain restrictions on the iPad, so they can't use like YouTube. They can't use social media or stuff like that.
They cannot use social media, but they can use YouTube.
Okay.
So yeah, that alone is. I'm fairly certain they can use YouTube anyway, because I've seen them use it.
Okay.
But that just opens like a whole like bunch of like can of worms.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking that. So is there like other restrictions as well? Obviously, they can't search certain things on the internet. Okay. So they're not just given an iPad with like free range.
It is as PG as it can possibly be.
Okay.
But having said that, and I have to second what you said earlier, the negatives outweigh the positive. That's just a fact, man. Like we were not meant or designed to be looking at that or even like this for at least extended periods of time, because it's changing the way that we interact with each other, but also I don't have an exact science for this and I can't explain it, but there's just something that it does to the brain that just it changes you, and it's artificial at the end of the day, and it can't be good for you. Like you cannot tell me that there isn't an upward trajectory or a correlation between the amount of internet and phone usage and engagement with screens, as well as the decline of our mental well-being and all of the stuff that comes with that. There's an actual science behind it.
I mean, the whole thing is connected by waves. Some of them are radioactive waves, and so definitely it is having some sort of effect on our biology. But speaking of social media and stuff, another thing I wanted to talk about is recently I feel like it's been a lot more recent, and even in the last 4 weeks or so, it has been rampant, but it feels like there's a lot more clout chasing going on. And very blatant bad clout chasing, just people just wanting attention for the wrong reasons. And one clip I saw, which I'm hoping I can play and hopefully will load, and you can hear, is you might have even seen it. It's this girl that wants to go around with 1,000 people.
I knew you were going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because when you said that, that's what came into my head first.
Like, it doesn't make sense. So she's saying last year she did
100.
yeah. And so now she wants to go 1,000 and
in one day.
in
isn't
one
it?
day.
Oh,
How
I
is
know
that even
what this
possible?
is.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the video? Or do I need to play the video?
A
Ideally,
video?
I like to not play the video.
I have not seen the
There's
video.
a
I would like
video?
to see it.
Yeah, not a
Of
video of
her saying-
no.
I'm so confused. I was like, wait,
Hey.
you're playing it?
Like I said, it's a sex podcast by Southeast Conversations. not
This is a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, just of her sort of speaking on how she wants to sort of go through 1,000 guys in one day, and my whole thought behind it was it's just looking for clout, just looking for attention, wanting to be more and more famous. What are some of the, I don't want to say signs, but do you see this in the kids nowadays? Are they doing a lot of things that is just attention to grab attention more, or is it just?
I think when you take the phone out of the equation, because I don't know what your school does. I'm sure they do the exact same thing because it's in their best interest to do so. But we have a designated phone box that comes in every morning, and they put their phones in there, and then they get their phones back at the end of the day. Now, if they had access to those devices throughout the day, then you would probably be seeing a lot more of that. Because once they have that, now that's a gateway to all sorts of things like validation, comments, likes, retweets. These things are designed to literally like get their hooks in you, and that is there's just there's a lot of motivation there. It's a lot of like pleasure seeking behavior, and it's like me, this, that's that. I haven't seen very much of it in schools, but if you were to, I think, take the kids out of the school environment and just sort of like see into what their everyday lives are like throughout half term or like the holidays or whatever, especially when they grow up into their adolescence, that's going to be very, very rampant, I'm sure. You will see more and more of that. Yeah, for sure.
I've seen students make TikToks like in their schools and stuff. So, are you sure like every student gets their phone taken off? Because I've seen on TikTok like kids actually make videos in their school uniform in school, like probably like during the day. I don't know how it works. Like, do they take the phone in the morning and then they get and towards the end of the day they get given back, or some kids sneaking the phone, or
It's the same at my school currently. The phones, I'm a form tutor, so I take the phones. There's lockers in our form room. I lock them, they get it back at the end of the day. I think it was, I want to say last year, January, the government actually, I don't know if it's all schools have to, but they strongly recommended that, especially for secondary schools, the phones are taken from the students if it's locked away or kept somewhere secure, and then they get them at the end of the day, simply because of that issue you mentioned. Sometimes you'll see a video and it's from 5 years ago, but it's still circulating around of someone who's recorded something in school.
yeah,
And it just is part of the reason why, especially now where anything kids want to record just for a few clicks or likes, like you mentioned, validation, they'll do it. So it's literally for their own safety. But yeah.
Okay, well, coming a bit close towards the end of the session, there was something I wanted to ask at the start, but I forgot. Is
the music you were listening to on your way
yeah,
here.
what was the last song playing in the car or in your headphones on the way here? Let us hear it. Go on, pull out your Spotify's, your iTunes, your Apple Musics. Oh yeah, you two came together, so it's gonna be the same song, wouldn't it?
Oh,
No, it's
okay,
separate.
Oh, you
same
came separate. Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. Did you remember what song was playing?
I started listening to Afro beats a bit more. I
Yes!
can't remember the
It took a while, but we're here.
It's because I don't know. I have a very, I wouldn't say niche, but I like the sound. I'm gonna butcher the name. I don't know if it's Ruga.
Yeah, Ruga.
Yeah, I can't remember which song, but yeah, I was listening to one of his songs on the way. I can't remember which one, but
Is Ruger's the artist?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've heard of Ruga before.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I want to say he's new, but I
He's
don't know.
not really new,
Yeah.
but I get what you mean. He's like around the same time as Remo, to be honest. Remo hasn't been in the game for that long.
Oh yeah, but Rema is more. I hear Rema on the radio.
Yeah, of course,
Do you know what I
100%. But Ruga has really good music, really
Yeah.
good songs out. So yeah.
Maybe I've come across his things before, but it's
You
not
wouldn't
ringing.
have known. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not ringing.
To
the
be
bell.
honest, I think you wouldn't remember the name, but if I was to play you one of his songs, you would know. You'd be like, oh, that's the guy. That's what it is. So he's not like established like that, but his songs are out there.
Oh, fair. What about you, Josh?
I was trying to load it up. It's only showing up as now it's 5G. But it's so Instagram reels. Like sometimes you'll hear like certain songs that you've heard from other reels before. Like they're very like popular reel songs or like TikTok songs or whatever. But this one, it's a Japanese short song called Kentenshi Paranoia. It's only like 1 minute and 58 seconds. But
I think I know it.
you think you know it? Do you want me to play it?
Play it.
Yeah, give it a little snippet.
Please work. Goodness sake! Like we are in 2024 and we still don't have phones that.
You could connect to the internet everywhere.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. It's gonna take ages. But
Honestly, the amount I pay for my phone and like I still lose connection, I'm just like, what's the point? Why am I paying? Might as well not. Might as well carry a wired connection everywhere. But yeah, cool. There's another segment in the podcast I like to do. Kind of almost feels like what I've just asked you, but if you'd like to recommend something for the people at home to check out, what would it be for this week?
Okay, before we go into that,
Yeah.
I was listening. So what I was listening to, because I know you skipped me.
Oh,
It's all right.
do you know? I'm so sorry.
This
To
is the first time I've done it today.
you need to just get in the next time.
That's fine.
No.
I was listening to "Ride with Me" by Nelly. So I was listening. I went old
Oh.
school. Well, it's not really old school, but like
It's old
Yeah.
school. It's always good for the kids listening.
yeah, for the kids these days. Yeah, true. So yeah, that's what I was listening to. That's the last
Yeah.
song I listened to on my way here. So yeah,
Okay.
I like old school. I like Nelly.
Well, since I skipped you, I'm going to ask you first. What would
Yeah.
you recommend for people to check out?
So I'm watching Grey's Anatomy because new episodes are out on Disney Plus. So I will recommend that. It's really good.
big
But then
boy
again,
show.
people are going to say, "Oh, there's a lot of episodes, a lot of
There is a lot. I tell you what, I saw a clip of Grey's Anatomy. I think it was a couple of days ago on YouTube, and the doctor, the patient that he was looking after, the woman, basically had an accident a few years before and has lost her memory. And it turns out that was his ex-wife, and she's in there with another guy that she's calling babe, and he obviously. She doesn't. It's always a bad thing. I was like, this looks interesting, but then I saw it was
Yeah.
like season 10. So I was like, yeah, I'm not about to go find out which
Yeah.
one it is. So yeah.
But it's really good. And the thing is, I started watching it like 2 years ago.
Mm.
And obviously, it's been around way before then, like way before then. So I remember like the whole summer, like I was just back to back to back until I was like, I've watched everything. But it took not even this whole summer. I think I finished it until like December or something. It's a lot of episodes, a lot of But yeah, it's really good. Basically, I'll recommend it. It's really good.
It's
It's really interesting. Like what you mentioned, there's so many stories, so many drama, so many twists and
Can you
turns. but
imagine
yeah.
though, just trying to work in peace and there's bad drama going on
Yeah.
around you? Say. Okay, what about you guys? Who wants to go first? What would you recommend for the people to check out?
I'm not actually watching anything. It's gonna sound very weird. It's not a movie. It's not music or anything. But it's only because I'm thinking of it now because I used it today. People are probably already using it, but OpenAI, probably more for teachers. I know AI has a lot of negative connotations, but it's helped like cut down like lesson planning time. Basically, you just type in, create this resource. Even if you're not a teacher, if you need to send a letter or something, email, I'd recommend using it. Obviously, don't copy and paste it. Proofread it first.
Yeah.
It's going to cut a lot of planning time. And time is money. So
Interesting.
Is it actually called OpenAI? Because I know there's one called like Chat GPT.
Yeah.
I think it's
ChatGPT.
all the same.
Yeah.
But it's similar to ChatGPT.
I've seen OpenAI before. I think it's is it Google backed? I think that's what I've seen it on Google.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, interesting.
okay. Oh no, that one with Google, I think it's called Gemini.
Yeah.
Am I making that up?
No,
I've
Gemini.
heard
I think
Gemini.
that's maybe.
But there's one that's linked with Google.
Yeah.
I think it's. I might be wrong, but I think it's Gemini.
Yeah. I've heard of Gemini as well before,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure. But I don't want to say it. And then
It's wrong.
but yeah. Josh, what would you like to recommend?
Apart from the boys and Gen V, which I'm sure that
Oh,
everyone has
yeah.
like heard
Mhm.
of,
Watch that.
actually
show.
binge the hell out of that.
Yeah.
You know what? Killer Robots. I think it's still on Netflix. This is what it looks like.
Okay.
You
The
see
top
it?
one.
Yeah.
What is it about?
Killer Robots.
It's about AI, actually. Because when you said it, I was like, wait a second. I went on my like text messages, and I recommended this to someone who's an avid user of AI and ChatGPT and stuff. So like, we've been like experimenting, whatever. But I saw this documentary fairly early this year, and it was just talking about how AI has the potential to be very, very lethal. Like we're talking unmanned jets that are super, super efficient, scary efficient at doing their job. Like you will not win in a dogfight against an AI, against a
mean,
jet that's run by
have
AI.
you lot seen these Tesla robots? They look
I was
scary
about to say that. I was
AF.
like, someone should go tell Elon Musk this.
Yeah.
So he would know.
They look scary AF, man. Yeah, AI is fully taken over, but that's cool. What did you say
People
it's
are
called
buying
again?
it.
Killer robots.
Killer robots. All right, cool.
Yeah, we should watch that so we'll know how to kill this guy's robots.
All right, so that's
is
been this week's recommendations. Thank you guys again for joining us.
Been a
It's been a
pleasure.
very
Thank you.
insightful conversation. And yeah, so we'll leave it there till next time, until we meet again. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was
Thank
a
you.
good session.
That was good. Yeah, it was definitely good. I wish